Well, hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. Great news, friends. Today it's Star Trek, the original series, Season 2, Episode 9, Metamorphosis. I can't believe that we're already on Episode 9 of Season 2. It seems like yesterday I watched The Cage. It's been a bit, but this has been an incredible ride. I can't wait for it to continue. Thank you all for being here, so let's get into it. Before we start, though, friends, if you could do me a favor and hit that like button, smash that subscribe, ring that bell for notifications, you'll be alerted next time we go live with the original series or any of our sci-fi fare. And of course, if there's anything that we do that you would like early or in its full-length format, that link to the Patreon's in the description. Not a fan of Patreon? Stick with us here on YouTube memberships. You'll get all the episodes about a day early, plus any bonus episodes we come up for any of our series. But friends, all that is then, and this is now. And now it's time for Star Trek, the original series, Season 2, Episode 9, Metamorphosis. Prepare to engage a maximum warp reaction. And away we go. Ooh, a shuttlecraft. The Galileo out on her own. Who do we got in here?
We have reached projected point 3, Captain.
Oh, Kirk, Spock, the entire command crew, McCoy.
Thank you, Mr. Spock.
Mr. Spock, always Johnny on the spot.
How is she, Doc? No change.
Small thanks to the Starfleet.
Now, really, Commissioner, you can't blame the Starfleet.
Commissioner?
Securo's disease is extremely rare. The chances of anyone contracting it are literally billions to one.
I was sent to Epsilon Canaris 3 to prevent a war, Doctor.
I know her.
Thanks to the inefficiency of the medical branch of the Starfleet, I've been forced to leave before my job was done.
Commissioner, I can assure you that once we reach the Enterprise with its medical facilities, we'll have you back to your job.
How soon will we rendezvous with that ship of yours, Captain?
In exactly 4 hours, 21 minutes, Commissioner.
I already like her. That was a really good back and forth there. Didn't give an inch. I liked it.
Will you check your automatic scanner, please?
It's a picture of my butt. Gotcha, Jim.
It's odd. I've never seen anything like that.
Nor have I.
Maybe not fly the shuttle directly at it, or is it coming at you?
Heading directly toward us at warp speed.
Oh, shit. Well, let's get out of the way. There we go. Okay.
Sensor readings, Mr. Spock.
Vaguely like a cloud of ionized hydrogen, but with strong, erratic electrical impulse.
Oh, great. I'm sure that'll just do wonders for the shuttle.
Helm does not answer, Captain.
Neither do the pods. Communications are dead.
I like the lighting.
Got it.
Ooh, I really like the lighting.
Captain, what's happening? I demand to know.
You already know as much as we do, Miss Hetford. Whatever that thing is outside.
You're in the ship.
A condition.
I know, Bones, but there's nothing I can do about it.
Then I insist you make your scheduled rendezvous with the Enterprise.
Miss Hetford, we'll do what we can when we can. At the moment, we're helpless.
So this thing grabbed them and took them, huh? At warp. That ain't great. Okay, Jim's going to tell us about the final frontier. Oh, this show. Good setup, though. You know, I sort of suspend my disbelief whenever you have, like, the entire, basically, the command crew, the big three on a shuttle or, like, a landing party. But again, that's the story. You can't have an away team without Spock and Kirk and McCoy, for that matter. This is before the age of the Rikers to take the place of Picard, I guess. And to be quite fair, I'm going to be honest with you. I like the captain going off the ship. Is it the right thing to do? Probably not. But, you know, I like to see the captain of the craft interacting, you know, see what she or he has to think in a situation. Not on a chair all the time, you know. Metamorphosis. Oh, Gene Kuhn wrote this one. Who's our director? Sininsky! We've got a new one! New for this season. Sininsky's been around.
More than an asteroid, like a small planetoid, I should say, possibly a remnant from a planet breakup. Totally suitable for human life.
Really?
Bones, maintain full alert. Commissioner, if you'll stay inside.
Just how long am I supposed to stay inside, Captain?
Well, until your disease incapacitates you? I don't know. Ooh, cool landscape.
Take a look around, Bones.
Why would you ever send McCoy off by himself? He is like right now the most important person, maybe outside of Spock, but to keep what's her name alive, the commissioner.
Nothing wrong. Nothing works.
Precisely.
Must be a reason.
Obviously.
Let's look a little further.
It's off in that direction. And it doesn't read solid. It's more unstable, tenuous, like a collection of gases.
Really? I didn't hear anything. I don't see anything. I didn't hear that either. Let's leave. Cool shot.
Are you real?
I know that actor too.
I mean, I'm not imagining you, am I?
We're real enough.
Earth people?
From the Federation.
Oh, this guy's from the past.
Well, it doesn't matter. I'm Cochran. I've been marooned here who knows how long. Well, if you only knew how good it is to see you. A woman. Beautiful one at that.
Again, blue eyes. You get all the acting work in the world in the 60s.
Assistant Federation Commissioner Hedford.
Ma'am? Food to a starving man.
Good reaction.
Hey, that's a nice ship.
Hey, get away from it.
Simple and clean.
Cochran, there's no way this is Zephram Cochran, right?
We were forced off our course and taken here by some force we couldn't identify.
Well, I wouldn't know anything about that.
Don't play poker, Cochran.
There's some sort of damping field down here. Power systems don't work. Take my word for it.
We don't mind if we continue to try.
What about you, Cochran? How did you get here?
Marooned, I told you.
You...
I have a small place over that way. All the comforts of home. I can even offer you a hot bath.
It's a long way off the beaten path.
That's right. That's why I'm so glad to see you.
Okay.
Look, I'll tell you everything you want to know, but not here.
Why?
Why don't you explain our methods of propulsion to Mr. Cochran?
Okay, what do we got here?
Talks a lot, but he doesn't say much.
I've noticed something else.
What's that?
It looks familiar.
Me too, bud.
No temperature yet. But we gotta get underway soon, Jim. I guarantee you it will develop. What are we gonna do?
I don't know. Bones, you're the doctor.
Take Cochran up on his offer.
A hot bath?
Not Earth, of course, but it's livable. I grow vegetables in the fields over that next ridge. Come on in.
I mean, it's a pretty good house.
Where'd you get the antiques?
Oh, you mean my instruments? Well, I imagine things have changed a lot since I crashed.
Not that much.
Must you keep it so terribly hot in here?
Well, the temperature is a constant 72 degrees. Let me get you something cool to drink.
So why does he have this habitation unit? It's interesting.
Well, it was quite a hike here. You're tired. Just take it easy for a while.
I'll rest later, Doctor.
I like her character a lot.
Temperature, Captain. First sign.
Yes, I know. It means we're running out of time.
I don't need that explained to me, Plum. What are we looking at, guys? Oh my god. Looks like a Herculoid. What were the goopy Herculoids?
What was that?
This guy's got a bot. What the hell's going on here?
Be surprised, but I've imagined I've seen around here sometimes.
We imagine nothing, Mr. Cochran.
Like a decanter and glasses? Yeah.
We find you out here where no human has any business being. We were virtually hijacked in space and brought here. Now, I'm not just requesting an explanation, mister. I'm demanding one.
All right. It was the companion.
For what?
I was brought here in my disabled ship. I was almost dead. The companion saved my life.
You were injured?
I was dying, Mr. Spock.
You seem perfectly all right now. What was the matter?
I was an old man. Well, I don't know how it did it, but the companion rejuvenated me. Made me young again, like I am now.
Really? What's your first name, homie?
Would you please explain exactly what this companion of yours is?
I told you, I don't know what it is. It exists, it lives, and I can communicate with it.
Okay, well, that's more information than we had.
Do you have a first name?
Zephram.
Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out. So cool.
Discoverer of the space warp?
That's right, Captain.
But that's That's impossible. Zephram Cochrane died 150 years ago.
He did not. He's in his prime. I cannot believe. I thought Zephram Cochrane was literally made up for First Contact.
The name of Zephram Cochrane is revered throughout the known galaxy. Planets were named after him. Great universities, cities.
Isn't your story a little improbable, Mr. Cochrane?
I should have known.
I was 87 years old when I came here.
You say this companion found you and rejuvenated you? What were you doing in space at the age of 87?
One last flight.
I was gonna die, and I wanted to die in space, that's all.
True, his body was never found.
Hmm.
You wear your age very well.
Well, you're running a low temperature. Perhaps you should lie down.
Doctor, will you please just leave me alone? It's the heat.
Well, the companion healed, de-aged Cochrane. God, Gene Coon came up with Cochrane too? Get the fuck out of here, this guy.
How long do we have?
Matter of hours, that's all.
Unreal.
You can communicate with it. Perhaps you can find out what we're doing here.
I already know.
You wouldn't mind telling us?
You asked for companionship.
You won't like it.
I already don't like it.
Oh man, she's getting worse.
You're here to keep me company.
Yep.
No! No! It's disgusting! We're not animals!
Wow, she's doing a really good job. Boy, talk about a range being asked. Nice shot.
Do you intend to destroy it?
I intend to do whatever is necessary to get us off this planet and Commissioner Hedford to the hospital.
Right.
If the companion stands in the way, then we push it out of the way. Clear, Spock?
That's the Captain Kirk approach. We ask it to move, and if it doesn't, we move it.
Mr. Cochrane, if you left here, what would happen?
Great shot.
I'd begin to age again, normally.
You want to leave here?
Believe me, Captain, immortality consists largely of boredom.
Ha!
We cross fantastic distances, and everything's alive, Cochrane. Life everywhere. We estimate there are millions of planets with intelligent life.
I like this guy too.
It's all out there waiting for you. But we'll need your help to get away.
You've got it.
Kirk's using him, but he's doing a good job with it. Oh, there's that device again. Already loving this episode. Really great guest star action or acting. Careful, Spock. Why is Spock? Did that blow the thing up? The device he had? If so, that was a hell of a good cut, stunt, whatever it was.
I said it was very powerful.
Could it cure her?
I don't know.
Good idea.
See if it can do something.
I can't believe that Zephram Cochrane is in this. It's so cool. I like that he's tall, too. It gives him a good profile against the backdrop and everything. You know, we've talked about it. Bill Shatner's not a big guy, but I like having somebody that's kind of, you know, not lording over, but definitely bigger. Oh, wow. I checked too, Ralph Sininsky, who did this, also did, I couldn't remember, it was This Side of Paradise, also directed.
Symbiosis of some kind. Sort of joining.
Exactly what I...
Well, it's not going to let you take him.
Pet owner speaking to a beloved animal, would you say?
No, it's more than that.
It's a friend.
More like... love.
Well, it saved him. I mean, it was in space and it saved him.
The companion can't do anything to help Miss Hedford.
Then she'll die.
If there's anything I could do to help, I would. And I will. But we can expect nothing from the companion.
And the reason for that is a reluctance to have Cochrane leave.
Are you all right? Yes. Quite all right, Doctor.
Got my bell rung.
Apparently, the companion imparted to me a rather quaint, old-fashioned electric shock of respectable voltage.
A respectable voltage. That was one of my favorite Spock lines ever. Respectable voltage.
But am I correct in assuming that anything that generates electricity can be shorted out?
Quite correct, Doctor.
It's not like a toaster.
Throw this switch, and it will scramble every electrical impulse the creature can produce. It cannot fail.
It could kill it, though. We don't want to do that. We don't want to hurt it.
It troubles you, Cochrane?
It's been his only friend for $1.50.
The companion saved my life. It's taken care of me all these years. You could kill it. I won't stand for that, Kirk.
We're getting out of here, Cochran. Face up to it. I'll do anything I have to save all of our lives.
I'm wondering, I never knew, but like, Cochran was never in the military.
What was it they used to call it? The Judas goat?
Judas goat. I remember that term.
There is some risk, Captain. We do not know the extent of its powers.
Nor it ours.
That's a little arrogant, Jim. I'm not sure what powers you can have that stand up against this thing.
No.
Oh, yeah. Now? While he's in it? Dear God. This is why you don't F around with this. Oh, good chaotic camera work. Cochran, you're going to need to get in there, but I know it drains you and everything, but... Oh, he's trying to talk. Bring it back. Sorry, Zephram. I wasn't aware of what you were doing.
Possibility of 4 lives down here. One of them dying because of me.
Isn't your fault.
I'm in command, Bones. It makes it my fault.
This is the way to command, Jim. Try talking to it, Jim. Cochran can.
Adjusting the translator will give you something to do.
It is possible. If I could widen its pattern of reception.
Right down your alley, Spock. Get it here and get to work. And that thing is still out there.
Gene Kuhn writing Jim as a dick in this one.
Ship's log, stardate 3219.8.
Oh, Scotty.
Lieutenant Command.
Look at that beauty.
Computer Central reports that we are coming up on the coordinates of the last established position of the shuttlecraft.
Thank you, Lieutenant.
There was a little hitch in the line. I'm glad they kept it. Makes things more realistic.
Strong particle concentration. We're on it, Mr. Scott. Lay on that course. Maintain
Nice.
scanning. Course laid in, sir.
These are tight shots. I kind of like them. And I really like the shot with Uhura over Scotty's shoulder.
Particle density decreasing. Gone, sir.
Oh, somebody scrubbed the tracks.
We stay on this course. See what comes up.
Yeah, usually if they were heading somewhere, they're heading there straight.
It's a big galaxy, Mr. Scott.
Scotty's got the right of it. Cool exchange there. My thing is, I love to see the exchanges between the crew and without Spock or Kirk involved. Cool shit.
Mr. Cochran, call the companion.
I'm sure it won't be at all leery when it sees me approaching with an unknown device, since we've established such peaceful relations. Really good music in this one, too. I'm going to check and see who did this score.
My thoughts, you are hearing them. This is interesting.
Wow.
It is not a zookeeper.
No? A lover.
The man needs the company of his own kind, or he will cease to exist.
Really?
The man must continue.
Companion's never letting him go.
Cease to exist in captivity.
Your bodies have stopped their peculiar degeneration.
Well, except the commissioner.
This is a marvelous opportunity to add to our knowledge. Ask it about its nature, its history.
This isn't a classroom. I'm trying to get us out of here.
When is the time, though? An overture like that might show interest, and Spock's absolutely right.
Your impulses are illogical. This communication is useless.
Ha!
The man must continue. Therefore, you will continue. It is necessary.
Necessary for you, maybe.
You're not a specimen kept in a cage. You're a lover.
I'm a what?
I do not totally understand the emotion, but it obviously exists. The companion loves you.
I love Spock's definition of love.
Your relationship with the companion has for 150 years been emotionally satisfying, eminently practical, and totally harmless.
Yeah.
Well, maybe I'm 150 years out of style, but I'm not going to be fodder for any inhuman monster.
That was kind of a weird change, though, in Cochrane. Just learning that it's...
I don't want to die. I've been good at my job.
Great job.
I've never been loved. Never.
Oh, man.
And he runs away from love.
Wow, she's doing a good job. Whew.
We are continuing our search for the missing shuttlecraft.
Nice.
Approximately 34% of the bodies have atmosphere in types H to M.
All right, then. We do it the hard way.
Check each of them out.
Is he important to you? More important than anything. Is he
Vital to your existence.
as though he were a part of you?
He is part of me.
He will cease to exist.
He does not age. He remains forever.
You speak of his body.
Yeah, his heart and his mind.
A female of our species is dying. She will not continue. That is what will happen to the man.
I do not understand.
Let's talk about it then.
Take away all obstacles. Without them to strengthen us, we will weaken and die. You regard the man only as a toy. You amuse yourself with him.
Well, that's a bit of a leap.
You are wrong. The man is the center of all things. I care for him.
Can love.
Jim, you're giving really weird advice here. It could try to, like, become part of Cochrane.
If I were human, there can be love.
Like that shot all staggered for long.
I thought maybe if she loved him, she'd let him go.
But she, or it, is inhuman, Captain.
Right.
Zephram Cochrane.
I was worried that was going to happen. Now, what happened to the commissioner, though?
Don't you understand? It's a companion.
Perfectly healthy.
Yeah, well, that's not what we're asking here.
It's medically impossible.
We are here.
We.
Both of us.
The commissioner's in there, too?
We are both here.
Companion, you do not have the power to create life.
That part of us was too weak to hold on. In a moment, there would have been no continuing.
Then you are both here, in the one body.
We are one.
So the commissioner was like moments from death? Ooh, some ethics involved here, but well, the commissioner's actor has been asked to do a lot, and she has knocked it out of the park.
Your vehicle will operate as before. So will the communications device.
Nice.
You said we would not know love because we were not human. Now we are human. We know the change of the days. We will know death.
Oh, no longer immortal.
Let me feel the earth against my feet. Let me feel the warmth of the sun on my face. You beside me. Let me feel these things.
Well, I mean, I'm assuming you're going to take the commissioner and the companion with you, right?
Mr. Scott, it's the captain.
Put him on.
I had to wait for the camera.
ETA 57 minutes.
We'll be there in 57 minutes, sir. What happened, Captain?
Interesting story, Scotty. I can't tell you now because, quite frankly,
I don't know how.
I don't know how it's going to end.
Oh, great.
I'll show everything to you as soon as I learn my way around again. Maybe I can make up a little for everything you've done for me.
I can't go with you, Zephram.
Oh, no.
My life emanates from this place.
Oh.
If I should leave it for more than a tiny march of days, I'll cease to exist.
Well, then you could...
But even if you stay here, you'll eventually die.
Joy of this hour. I am pleased.
Well, I can't just fly away and leave you here.
You must be free, Zephram Cochrane.
You saved my life.
He is free. If he chooses to stay, he's free.
You loved me. Never understood. I do now.
Boy, these two are really doing a great job.
Shuttlecraft base standing by to receive you.
Stand by, Scotty.
Hey, change of plans. I'm staying.
I can't leave her. I love her. Is that surprising?
Not coming from a human being. You are, after all, essentially irrational.
There's a whole galaxy out there waiting to honor you.
Yeah.
I have honors enough.
But you will age, both of you. There will be no immortality.
That's been happening to men and women for a long time. I've got the feeling it's one of the pleasanter things about being human.
Ah, great line.
I might even try and plant a fig tree. A man's entitled to that, isn't he?
Maybe we can beam down some supplies, too.
Captain, don't tell them about me.
Oh,
Not a word, Mr. Cochran.
love it.
What about that war on Epsilon Canaris 3?
Well, I'm sure the Federation can find another woman somewhere who'll stop that war.
Hey, fingers crossed. Nice, nice, nice. Very strong episode. Very strong acting in that episode. I loved it. All right, friends, we just got done watching Star Trek, the original series, Season 2, Episode 9, Metamorphosis. And the only thing left to do is to talk about it. All right, friends, we just got done watching Star Trek, the original series, Season 2, Episode 9, Metamorphosis. Really liked this one. Again, I think it was a simple episode. Gene L. Kuhn wrote some very interesting, very kind of thought-provoking dialogue in there. I think there's my only problem with the whole episode was the very last drop of like, who's going to stop this war? Because as the commissioner stated, she was very good at her job. And to remove her from the situation, speaks of like, well, we can find somebody else. Can you? Because, especially with somebody in an intimate part of a peace process that is as good as the commissioner, can you? I don't know about that. And so it would be interesting to, that was my only kind of drawback with that is that there was, I don't want to say there was a lesser weight put on the commissioner's duty and job as there was like the companion's love or whatnot, but that's what ended up happening there. And correct me if I'm wrong. This is how I interpreted the metamorphosis that was the union of the companion and the commissioner. The commissioner was like moments from death, and this kind of saved the commissioner's life and kind of condemned. The companion merged with the commissioner, gave up immortality, but the commissioner was alive, right? So if that's the case, then there really wasn't, the commissioner was going to die anyway, so there wasn't anything they could do about it. And the companion sacrificed to get that done, but, the commissioner's in there somewhere. I think there could have been a better workaround for that, especially when the companion said, hey, if I'm gone for a few days from here, something could happen. And again, I understand to even like take the commissioner, the companion, like to the peace process for a day or two and then back. And it would open up, who is this person? Why are they different? There's a lot of things that wouldn't have worked out. And that was the only kind of messy tangle for me at the end. I understand it. It's unavoidable, like as from a narrative perspective. You can't just kind of like smooth over that element, that vital like peace process, commissioner moment. But at the same time, even if you were to develop it anymore, it would just lead to more problems, it looks like. So they resolved it, or Kuhn resolved it in the only way that he really could effectively, by just saying, well, hopefully somebody else can do it, which let's hope. It was a really neat episode, though, and this is why I love watching Star Trek, the original series, because you don't know what you're going to get. You don't know, it's never... do we have similar ones? Yes, we have bad computers that are beaten by logic circles. We have things like that. We have that type of repetition and things. But in this particular episode, I think this was a unique exploration of not only like finding Zefram Cochrane, which was so cool. That was like my favorite part about this was like, I had no idea that Cochrane existed before the events of Star Trek First Contact. That's how green I am as a Star Trek fan. I literally thought that it was something they had made up for that, like, the first warp flight was done by Zefram Cochrane in the Phoenix, and they kind of built it out from there. I didn't realize it was established lore all the way back from season 2, episode 9 of Star Trek. And of course, it's Gene Kuhn who established that lore. Incredible stuff. His contributions were otherworldly. And like you all have said, he died young. He could only have been, I can't imagine him not being a part of the future of Star Trek. And somebody made a great comment and said, Kuhn would have been intimately involved with the next generation, and how would that have affected it? And what more would he have brought? The Romulans, the Klingons, all these things coming forward. Crazy stuff. And again, some of the foundational tent poles of the Star Trek universe. Incredible stuff. So that was a huge surprise. As soon as they said Cochrane, I'm like, that can't be Zefram Cochrane. Yeah, fuck yeah, it was. And that is just so cool. But beyond, just kind of like the fanboy for me moment of seeing like the original, I know, dickhead, you don't know the story. This is the story. Oh, great, great. That was a cool moment for me, but at the same time, I think it was a really interesting exploration. It reminded me a little bit of the old movie Enemy Mine with Dennis Quaid and Louis Gossett Jr. Louis Gossett Jr. played an alien, and Dennis Quaid was a human, and they were in some like interstellar fight, and they both got shot down over like a planetoid, and they basically had to live together to survive, enemies, kind of working together for survival. And I'm not saying that these two are, this is the opposite end of that, brought in, Zephyr Cochrane was dying, brought in by the companion. They lived all these years, in a friendly kind of development, despite being completely different. And it was that kind of alien nature of the two of them I found fascinating. It was a weird flex at that one, not flex, but it was a weird kind of decision at that one moment to have Cochrane like get really upset about knowing that the companion was at least perceived to be female by the universal translator. It's like felt like he was betrayed, like he thought he had a drinking buddy, and it turned out it was somebody that loved him. You know what I mean? And I just didn't understand why he felt that way, or if it was just an interesting decision that seemed off from his character. Now, with these things I'm saying, it makes it sound like, I didn't enjoy the episode at all. I absolutely loved this episode. This is one of my favorites of season 2 and of all of the Trek I've seen so far. I thought the performances were very well done. I thought that both the Commissioner and Cochrane played really good roles, the Commissioner being the standout for me. I thought that, my God, was she asked to do a lot. She was asked to, be the commissioner fully, have this kind of, I don't want to say it was kind of like a brisk attitude. She was very determined to get back there, get this done, Captain. And then, then that character sick, going through fever, delirium, that whole crying out, I can feel this, I can feel that I never knew love, that's kind of, now that we know, like the dying moments of the Commissioner. Really cool stuff. And then playing the union, or the metamorphosis, the symbiotic relationship between the companion and the Commissioner. Really interesting stuff. And I mean, that's a lot to ask from somebody to come in and do a one spot that's had no chance to kind of like build the character or figure out motivations, or, how would this character respond in this situation, given the completely foreign nature as far as like being outside the realm of diplomacy and things like that. Really well done and really thought out. And the performance was very respectful from the Commissioner. She came in and was able to really act the shit out of that role without compromising both kind of like the character, which, we wouldn't know if she was compromising it or not, but like in her own mind, compromising the character or the world of Star Trek. There was a lot of respect in that performance, and I really dug that. Same thing for Cochrane, the actor that portrayed Cochrane to a point, but I think that the Cochrane character, with the exception of that, I got pissed because I found out that it was potentially, identifying as a female, this alien. That spike seemed a little weird for me, but other than that, he was in a pocket, very similar to the way Nimoy plays Spock, kind of in that emotional pocket, not real high, not real low, kind of a constant delivery. And I think it worked well. It worked to kind of set up kind of like the easy nature of Cochrane, someone that could have been able to survive for 150 years of immortality and have their wits still about them. To me, would have been like somebody like Cochrane. Like, that's the mentality needed to be able to survive for a century and a half. You know what I mean? And I appreciated that because it seemed realistic to me. It seemed like, okay, this guy could handle it. This guy could be sort of like in isolation and kind of keep himself busy and keep his mind motivated and not kind of descend into a madness or, some type of, suicidal tendencies or thoughts. That's why I kind of disagreed a little bit when Kirk said, he'll cease to exist. I'm like, yeah, but it could take a while because Cochrane has definitely shown his resiliency to be, in play here. And I also think it's exceptionally cool that he lived up until through the original series, and you can, unless tragedy strikes, he potentially could have lived, now not into the next generation because that's way too far ahead, I believe, time wise, but he would have made it through like the events of like Wrath of Khan and things like that. Like Zephyr Cochrane was alive during all of that. That's crazy to me and super duper cool. I really, really like that. The fact that this kind of like founding member, like the person that basically brought Earth into the Federation with the launch of the Phoenix and the warp run. Incredible stuff. And the fact that Gene Coon made him 6 decades before, 5 decades or whatever it was, 4 decades before, I thought it actually happened. Great stuff, unreal stuff. But friends, there's so much more to learn about this. One, we got to learn who these actors were because I recognize both of them, but I don't know, I can't place them. I'm looking at their younger selves, I guess. I need to see exactly how they fit into all of this. I know when I see the actress that played the commissioner, I'm going to be like, oh, of course, because she seems super familiar. Like I really should know her character, or the actor. So I'm sure that I'm going to be the revelation there is going to make me feel like an idiot. But friends, I need to get to all this stuff. I need to figure out what happened behind the camera. Ralph Sininsky did a great job. Gene L. Coon did a great job with writing. Let's see what happened. But of course, the only way we can figure out what happened is to ask who. Well, Q, I guess. Q. Greetings, mon capitaines, and welcome to another installment of Q&A. Friends, this is where after having watched and reacted to an original series episode, I'd like to dive a little bit deeper and find some juicy trivia or tidbits that if I had looked up before watching the episode would have ruined it for me. But to keep myself from rambling for 3 hours, I've limited myself to 5 distinct categories. The first of which, writer and director. Who were they? The second, guest stars. Did we have any? The third, of the core cast or the big 8, who was present? Number 4, and usually the juiciest category, production notes. What happened behind the scenes? And last but certainly not least, number 5, the memorable quote from this episode. Friends, let's get started. All right, for our first category, we have writer and director. Who were they? Well, our writer was none other than Gene Coon, and the director of this episode was Ralph Sininsky, who last we saw in This Side of Paradise. Great jobs by both. I thought they worked incredibly well together, and we'll hear a little bit more from director Sininsky down in production notes. Let's move on. And now for our second category, friends, guest stars. We had 2 of note. The first of which, Glenn Corbett as Zephyr Cochrane. I said that I thought I knew him from somewhere, as I thought I knew Commissioner Hedford's character. But for Zephyr Cochrane, I said, I know him. I should. He was on Dallas forever. And whenever I was growing up, I watched Dallas with my family. And so that must have been just some osmosis, some residual residue left over from my Swiss cheese brain kind of pinging and firing into the void. But the second guest star that we had was Eleanor Donahue as Nancy Hedford. I thought she did a fantastic job, and I swore I knew her the entire time. It just kept pinging for me. That's because she was a regular cast member on Father Knows Best. I should have known. Moving on. And now for our next category, category 3 of the core cast or the big 8 who was present. Now to recap our big 8 that we have: Kirk, McCoy, Spock, Sulu, Scotty, Uhura, and this season we've added Chekhov and Chapel. Those are the 2 that were not present. Our 2 new additions in Chekhov and Chapel did not appear in this episode. Moving on. And now, friends, for the spicy category 4 production notes. What went on behind the scenes? Well, good news, not a lot of drama, but we did have a couple of really interesting little tidbits that popped up. So let's get into them. Now, the first of which I thought was a really interesting one because I sort of pinged for me during the episode, but it really pinged for me during editing. This is the first episode that Captain Kirk, William Shatner, never appears on the Enterprise. At no point during this episode is he walking the halls, on the bridge, in the chair, in his room, in sick bay. He's not on ship at all. Very first time that's happened, friends. Let's see what our next production note is. And now, friends, for our second tidbit inside the production notes. A few scenes featuring Eleanor Donahue had to be reshot because the original film negatives were damaged to the point that they could not be salvaged. So they had to call Eleanor back in to film some more of her Commissioner Hedford lines or reshoot them. The problem was that during the exchange or during the initial photography and the secondary footage, she had contracted pneumonia and had lost a significant amount of weight. They tried to compensate for this weight loss, which was mainly visible in her face, with the use of the headscarf that we saw her wearing at the top of the episode. Now, again, a lot of the set, like when the bed where she was, had been torn down and used for something else. So they had to basically repurpose an existing set to make it look close enough to the shots that had survived from Metamorphosis to make them kind of sync. And I think they did a fantastic job with it. They did say that like when she's lying in bed, basically near death, you can see in her face that she had lost weight. My opinion, if anything, I think it added to the performance. I never noticed it, but if she does appear gaunt, shouldn't she? Let's move on. Now, during the course of the reaction, I said, boy, this music's great. Of course, I can't play it on YouTube because reasons. But anyway, I wanted to know who had, performed this score or orchestrated this score. None other than George Dunning. This was his very first Star Trek score. And because it was so well received, he goes on to do many, many more. I think that's great because the music in this episode, the score in this episode was a standout for me. And I thought he did a fantastic job. Let's keep going. Now, this is an interesting one. A lot of like reshoots and things had to go into this episode that necessarily weren't mandatory, but they were preference based. Now the mandatory one, obviously, with Eleanor Donahue, whenever the negatives didn't turn out, but this one was preference. Ralph Sininsky, whenever he heard the original voice of the companion performed by Elizabeth Rogers, he believed it to be too emotionalist, too robotic. And so, after the fact in post-production, all of her dialogue had to be like revoiced or reshot by another actress named Lisbeth Hush, which I don't know if you could pick a better name to be a voice actor than Lisbeth Hush. Let's move on. And so for our final production note, I spoke about it back up in Writers and Directors when I said that Ralph Sininsky and Gene Kuhn worked really well together, and their finished product in Metamorphosis proved that. But to further kind of strengthen or flesh out that relationship, here's what Ralph Sininsky had to say about Gene Kuhn. Now, just prior to this statement, he named this, Metamorphosis, his favorite episode that he directed. But here's what he had specifically to say about Gene Kuhn, and I quote, "I just thought the script was absolutely wonderful. As I remember Gene, he was the least authory type of person. He just didn't seem like an author. He didn't present that kind of sensitivity that his writing had expressed. It was just deep, deep script, and scene after scene had so many angles to come at it from. It was a complex script." Pretty good. Let's move on. And last but certainly not least, friends, category number 5, our memorable quote of this episode. I decided since I was surprised by Zefram Cochrane's appearance, I would pick a quote from him, even though there were several that I was kind of, challenging for this part. But here's what Zefram Cochrane had to say to Kirk about immortality. "Immortality consists largely of boredom." Thought that was profound, considering his final decision in this episode moved completely away from immortality. Friends, thus ends another installment of Q&A. Until the next time we meet, behave.